Chicago, 1968. The kind of night where the wind off Lake Michigan cuts through whatever you're wearing and reminds you that this city doesn't particularly care about your comfort. Bruce Lee is 27 years old and not yet famous in any meaningful sense. He has appeared on television once or twice. He teaches martial arts. People in fighting circles know his name. Regular people on the street do not. This is fine with Bruce. He is building something, and building takes time, and he has never been the kind of person who confuses visibility with substance. His friend Marcus brought him here. Marcus trains at a gym in the South Side and knows people who know about this place, a converted basement beneath a sporting goods warehouse near the Stockyards district. The kind of location that exists in every major American city in this era, where people who want to watch real fighting can watch it without the sanitizing influence of athletic commissions and television cameras, and the general tendency of official institutions to smooth the edges off everything until it stops being interesting. The space is maybe half the size of a regulation boxing gym, but it fits a crowd because the crowd is motivated and stands close together without complaining. Folding chairs along the walls for the older or more well-connected attendees. Standing room everywhere else. A proper ring, surprisingly proper given the setting, with ropes and corner posts and canvas that has seen significant use. The lighting is industrial, bright and slightly harsh, the kind that makes everything look slightly more real than you want it to. Bruce stands near the back and watches the first two fights with the quality of attention he brings to everything that involves human beings moving and striking and trying to solve the problem of another person's resistance. He does not gamble. He does not drink the beer that men around him are drinking. He watches, and what he sees in both fights is simultaneously impressive and limited. Good athletes with real training and real courage operating within frameworks that have not been thoroughly questioned. He files away what he observes and keeps watching. Then the main event is announced, and the crowd's energy changes completely. The woman who climbs through the ropes is named Diana Cole. Bruce does not know this yet, but he will know it within 10 minutes, because the crowd says her name like it means something serious. She is extraordinary to look at in purely physical terms. 6 feet tall and built with the kind of muscle that comes from years of serious weight training at a time when women who lift seriously are rare enough to be genuinely remarkable. She cannot weigh less than 220 pounds. Her arms are larger than most men in the room. She has a boxing record that Marcus has whispered to Bruce on the way in, something like 23 wins with 17 knockouts, all against opponents that her promoter selected carefully, but that were not selected so carefully as to not be real fighters. She destroys her opponent in the main event. It takes 4 minutes and it is not close. The opponent is a legitimate female boxer, trained and game, and she lands exactly 3 punches of note on Diana throughout the entire fight before Diana corners her and ends it with a left hook that the room feels collectively. Diana raises her arms and the crowd makes the noise crowds make for someone they have seen deliver this experience before and are grateful to receive again. Bruce watches all of this with genuine respect for what Diana does well, which is considerable. Her power is real, her timing is good. Her jab is educated and she uses it to set up everything else with real sophistication. She is not a brawler with a gift for violence. She is an actual boxer who also happens to be physically exceptional, and Bruce respects the distinction completely. Then Diana is handed a microphone by the promoter and the atmosphere shifts. She scans the crowd while she catches her breath, still in the ring, towel around her shoulders, and her eyes move across the faces near the front and then stop. Bruce does not realize immediately that they have stopped on him. He is toward the back. But then people around him start looking at him and he understands. Diana knows who he is. She has seen him on television, the Green Hornet, some martial arts demonstration program. The specific context does not matter. What matters is that Diana Cole has opinions about Kung Fu and about Bruce Lee, and about the entire tradition of Asian martial arts being presented to American audiences as something real and effective and worthy of serious consideration. These opinions are strongly held and not favorable. "Is that Bruce Lee back there?" she says into the microphone, and her voice carries the particular quality of someone who is comfortable performing for crowds and is now choosing to perform a specific thing. Little Bruce Lee from the television? The crowd turns. Bruce does not move. He stands where he is and looks at her steadily and does not give her the reaction she is probably hoping for, which would be visible discomfort or attempted retreat. "Come on up here," Diana says, spreading her arm in an invitation that is also obviously a trap. "Come show these people your Kung Fu. Show them what all that dancing and posing looks like against a real fighter, against someone who actually hits." against someone who hasn't been spending her career kicking the air and bowing and making television shows where the other guy falls down because he's paid to. Murmurs through the crowd. People looking between Bruce and Diana. The atmosphere has moved from post-fight celebration into something more unpredictable. Bruce does not move and does not speak. He is doing the thing he does when people perform aggression at him, which is simply not feeding it with a reaction. Diana has nothing to perform against if he gives her nothing to work with. This strategy is almost always effective and would be effective here, except that Diana is experienced with crowds and knows how to escalate. That's okay, she said. It's scary. A real punch is very different from what you're used to. A real punch from real training, from real fighting, is not something you demonstrate on television. I get it. You stay back there. Keep watching. Keep learning what actual combat looks like. Maybe you can put some of it in your next television show. Make the falling down look a little more realistic. Laughter from sections of the crowd. Not universal, but present. Bruce still doesn't respond. Marcus glances at him. Bruce's expression has not changed. Diana tries another direction. Honestly, I feel a little bad for you. You go out there telling people Kung Fu is real, that it works, that all this philosophy and harmony and whatever is going to save you when someone actually wants to hurt you. And people believe you because you're on television and you look good and you move well. You're a good actor. I'll give you that. You're a genuinely good actor. But actors aren't fighters and television isn't a ring, and if you got in this ring right now, you would understand that difference very quickly and very painfully. More response from the crowd. More looking at Bruce. The pressure is building through volume and repetition, which is its own kind of technique. Then Diana says something that changes the temperature of what Bruce is willing to absorb. I heard your little school is struggling. I heard you can barely keep the lights on. I heard Linda is working extra hours because her husband makes television shows that don't pay enough to support a family. I heard Brandon is going to grow up watching his father pretend to be a warrior on a screen instead of actually being one anywhere that matters. The room goes quiet in a specific way. Not the excited quiet of anticipated confrontation. A different kind. The quiet that happens when something personal and out of bounds has been said in public. Marcus puts a hand on Bruce's arm, not restraining, just present. Bruce looks at the hand and then at Marcus, and Marcus can see that what is in Bruce's face is not anger exactly, or not only anger. It is a decision that has been made. Bruce moves through the crowd toward the ring. People step aside, not because he is loud or aggressive or doing anything that demands it. They step aside because of how he is moving, with the particular directedness that makes way for itself. He reaches the ring, steps through the ropes, and stands on the canvas. He is wearing a dark jacket over a shirt. He removes the jacket and folds it and places it on the corner post. He is not wearing fighting clothes. He is not wearing fighting shoes. He is wearing what he was wearing when he came to watch a fight on a Thursday night in Chicago. Diana looks at him across the ring. Up close, the size differential is even more pronounced. She has 5 inches on him and probably 80 pounds. She is still holding the microphone. Well, she says, and there is genuine surprise in her voice underneath the performance. Okay then. You can stop talking about my family, Bruce says. His voice is level, not loud. The room is quiet enough that he does not need volume. Everything else you want to say it with your hands. That's what you came here to do. So let's do it. Diana looks at him for a moment and then something settles in her expression. The performance drops away and what is underneath it is a serious fighter assessing a situation with a serious fighter's eyes. She does not actually think Bruce is nothing. She has seen enough, on television and through the fighting world's informal network of information, to know he is not nothing. But she genuinely believes what she has been saying, that boxing beats Kung Fu, that her size and power and technical skill are ultimately going to matter more than whatever Bruce brings. She believes it the way people believe things they have tested repeatedly and found to be true. All right, she says, and hands the microphone back to the promoter. Then she looks at Bruce with an expression that has real confidence in it, and she says the thing that the crowd will be talking about for years afterward. I'll pay $5,000 for every clean punch you land on me. That's my offer. $5,000 per punch. Let's see how rich you get. The crowd's reaction is enormous. $5,000 in 1968 is the kind of money that takes a working person many months to earn. Diana is making a public financial statement about her confidence in her ability to not be hit by Bruce Lee, which is either extraordinary confidence or extraordinary foolishness, or some combination that the crowd is now desperate to see resolved. Bruce looks at her for a moment, then he nods. Okay, he says. The promoter scrambles to establish something like official parameters. 1 round, 3 minutes. Diana's offer stands on the record in front of witnesses. Punches to the body or head, clean contact, 5,000 each. The crowd presses closer. The noise level has reached something that makes normal conversation impossible. They come to center ring. Diana is in her boxing stance. Educated stance, weight distributed correctly, chin tucked, hands at the right height. She is not underestimating him. Bruce can see that. She is taking this seriously, which is the right choice, but she is taking it seriously within a framework that assumes she knows what she is dealing with, and Bruce knows she does not. He stands across from her in something that is not quite a stance. Comfortable, natural, weight-centered, his hands are at his sides. He looks, to someone who does not know what they are looking at, almost relaxed. He is not relaxed. He is in the particular state that decades of training produces, where readiness and stillness look identical from the outside. The promoter says go. Diana throws the jab. It is a good jab, fast and technically correct, aimed at establishing distance and reading Bruce's response. It reaches empty space. Bruce has moved his head offline by maybe 4 inches, exactly enough, no more, and his right hand has simultaneously shot forward in a straight punch, Wing Chun structure, traveling maybe 8 inches total because he is already inside her range from the moment she extended the jab and compromised her guard. The punch lands on her left shoulder with a sound that is audible in the front rows. Not a devastating strike, a controlled demonstration, a deliberate first data point. 1 second elapsed, $5,000. Diana blinks. She steps back half a step and looks at him. Her expression is not what Bruce expected, which was either denial or anger. What is in her face is genuine surprise and something that might be the beginning of honest recalibration. She has been hit before. She knows what being hit feels like. She also knows from what just happened that the speed was real. She did not see it coming, and she is a person who has spent years training specifically to see things coming. She smiles. It is a real smile, not a performance. Okay, she says quietly, mostly to herself. Okay, they reset to center. The crowd is making noise that has a different quality now, the quality of people who just watched a prediction be tested and found uncertain. Diana comes out differently the second time. She is not playing around. She moves forward with real intention behind it, using her size and reach to crowd toward the corner, throwing combinations that are designed to overwhelm rather than probe. Jab twice to keep him busy, cross over the top, hook to the body as he tries to move away. It is a legitimate pressure campaign, and it would work against most opponents. Bruce does not try to go backward. He goes sideways, slipping the first jab, redirecting the second with his lead hand in a motion so small it barely registers visually, going under the cross and moving away from the hook by turning into it slightly rather than away, which takes him past Diana's right side where her guard is thinner. His left hand strikes, flat palm, not a punch exactly, more of a controlled shot to the ribs. The sound it makes is different from the shoulder strike, fuller. The kind of sound a body makes when something lands on the spot where the ribs protect the organs underneath. Diana exhales sharply, involuntary. Her right arm comes down to protect the area, and Bruce is already somewhere else, back to center, standing comfortably. 3 seconds since the last reset, $10,000 total. Diana straightens up. She is looking at him with an expression that has lost the smile, not angry, serious. The way a fighter looks when they understand that the fight they are actually in is different from the fight they thought they were in when they got into the ring. She is a professional, and professionals recalibrate. She is recalibrating right now in real time. You're fast, she says. Not a compliment exactly, a report. You're strong, Bruce says. Also a report. They look at each other across the small distance of the ring, and what passes between them in that moment is the specific recognition that sometimes happens between people who are both genuinely good at something, the acknowledgement that this is real, that both parties have brought something real to it, that whatever happens next is going to be honest. Diana attacks with everything she has left in her plan. She rushes him, which is the right tactical choice given that distance is working against her, trying to get her arms around him, trying to bring this into grappling range where her weight and strength mean something different. It is not a bad idea. It is actually the correct adjustment. The problem is that the adjustment has to be executed, and the execution requires closing a distance against someone who controls distance the way Bruce controls it. Bruce moves inside her rush rather than away from it. He does not try to stop her momentum. He uses it, turning with her as she closes in, redirecting with one arm while his other hand strikes twice in quick succession, both to the body, both landing in the space her own momentum has opened up for him. He is not hitting hard. He does not need to hit hard. He is hitting correctly, which is a different thing and in its way more unsettling to receive because it communicates something beyond pain. It communicates that the person hitting you understands your structure completely and is choosing what to do with that understanding. Diana ends up past him, having to turn to face him again, breathing harder than she should be 3 minutes into anything. Her arms are down slightly from where they were. Not a lot, enough. 7 seconds total. $35,000 at $5,000 per punch. She looks at him, he looks at her. The crowd is doing something Bruce has never quite heard before, a sustained sound that is partly cheering and partly something quieter and more uncertain underneath it, the sound of people watching their expectations get revised in real time. You can stop, Bruce says. He says it without condescension. It is a genuine offer. Diana is quiet for a moment. She is a proud person, and what he is offering requires setting pride down. She looks around the room at the crowd, at the faces of people she has fought in front of before, people who have watched her be exceptional for years, and she does the calculation that proud people have to do sometimes between what pride costs and what it costs to continue. She looks back at Bruce. How much am I into you for, she asks. Doesn't matter, Bruce says. The offer was yours. I'm not collecting. She stares at him. Why not? Because you made it to prove a point and the point has been made, he says. That's what we both came here for. You're an extraordinary fighter. You know that. What you didn't know is what Kung Fu actually is, which is fair because most people don't. Now you know something you didn't know before. That's worth more than money either direction. Diana is quiet for a long moment. Then she nods. A small nod. The kind that means more than a large one because it costs more. You're fast, she says again, and this time it is unambiguously a compliment. You adjust well, Bruce says. That second approach was the right read. The execution was the only problem. If you'd been able to close another foot before I moved, you'd have had me. She looks at him with an expression that is trying to figure out if he is being patronizing and concludes that he is not. Would I? She says, and there is something almost like humor in it. Honestly, I'm not sure, Bruce says and smiles. It would have been more interesting. Diana looks at him for another moment and then laughs. It is a real laugh, the kind that happens when something unexpected cuts through prepared feelings and produces an honest response. The crowd does not entirely know what to do with this development. They have been watching a confrontation, and what they are now watching is something else that does not have as clean a name. Diana extends her hand. Bruce shakes it. Her grip is substantial. His grip does not try to match it and also does not yield to it, which she notices and which produces another fractional shift in her expression. Come train with me sometime, she says. I want to know how that first one worked. The jab opens the right side of your guard by about 4 inches, Bruce says. When you extend it fully, it's a small thing, easy to not notice. Diana thinks about this, works through it, nods slowly. I'll fix that. I know you will, Bruce says. He steps out of the ring. Marcus hands him his jacket. The crowd around him has a different quality than the crowd he walked through to get to the ring. People are looking at him with the specific attention that recalibration produces, reassessing what they thought they saw from the back of the room and what they now understand they were looking at. A few people try to talk to him. He is polite and brief. On the walk back to Marcus's car, Marcus says, "You didn't have to let the money go. She made the offer to humiliate me," Bruce says. Taking the money would have just been a different version of the same thing. That's not what I went up there for. What did you go up there for? Bruce thinks about it for a moment. She said something about Linda and Brandon, he says. That's where it stopped being something I could watch from the back of the room. Marcus is quiet for half a block. Then you landed 7 punches in 10 seconds on someone who has 17 knockouts. She's very good, Bruce says, which is his actual assessment and not a deflection. That's not what I said. I know what you said, Bruce replies. He is not being modest. He does not particularly believe in false modesty or real modesty as a performance. He is genuinely more interested in what Diana did well than in what he did well, because what Diana did well is new information, and what he did well is something he already knows. They drive back through Chicago. The wind is still doing what it does. The lake is invisible in the dark, but you can feel it in the air, that particular cold that comes off deep water. Bruce Lee is 27 years old and not yet famous and is sitting in the passenger seat of his friend's car thinking about the 4 inches that open in Diana Cole's guard when she fully extends her jab, and whether there are comparable things in his own technique that he does not yet know about, and what it would take to find them. That is who Bruce Lee was in 1968, not the legend, not the icon. Just a person who understood something deeply and was always, always looking for the next thing he did not yet understand. The fame came later, the legacy came later. But the thing that produced both of those things was already fully present in a cold Chicago basement in 1968, in the 8 inches of a controlled punch and the decision not to take $35,000, and the honest conversation with a strong woman who learned something real that night. That was always the point. That was always the whole thing. Understanding and the willingness to share it with anyone willing to actually look.